All right, so good afternoon, everybody. This is Adam Crossley here, CEO of Fairoaks IT, and we're about to tuck in for another 15-minute bite-sized training for the month of June in this case. Can't believe it's almost over, almost July 4th holiday here. Today we're going to be talking about Excel and some, albeit somewhat basic power tips. I didn't want to get too advanced today. We are planning on having sort of if this is the 101 course, perhaps a 201 and maybe even 301 course on Excel in the future. But I wanted to start off with some interesting basic things that would, hopefully for a lot of you elevate you to a little bit more of a power user in Excel versus just trying to manually muddle through data sets. So we're going to be going over a few things there and how to maximize your time with Excel, and hopefully really at the end of the day, the goal with Excel is to really just make your job easier and more efficient. That's really the goal there. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. And again, I appreciate everybody's joining today. We've got a good crowd today. Let me go ahead and move the sharing over to my what we've done is we've actually got a demo Excel file. It sounds exciting that we're going to be sharing with you guys today. Let me go ahead and share my screen onto that. Bear with me for a second here. All right. Share. Here we go. All right. So like I said, we're going to be talking about Excel today. Excel, I know, is probably not everyone's sort of, they don't think it's the top of the mind for an exciting thing to go dive into. But again, in the world of business, a lot of data comes to us via Excel or a spreadsheet, and it's just fantastic to be able to slice and dice it and again, make your day more efficient. So that's really what we're going to be talking about today. So what I've done here is I've actually started with this relatively simple data set, but I want you to kind of imagine if this were, instead of 30 rows of data, maybe this were 3,000 rows of data or something just really crazy, right? For the purposes of the demo today, I wanted to keep it a little smaller so you could get a feel for what we were doing and be able to wrap your head around it. But for the purposes of what we're going to be doing today, I went ahead and made a sample data set for us. And really what this data set is some sales data. It's a listing of clients, perhaps when we made a sale to them, what that sale value was, who the salesperson was. And then if we made the sale, maybe there was some extra things we wanted to sell, or maybe we want to have a follow-up with the client to say, hey, a few days later, how's that product or service, whatever we might be selling, how's it going, right? Like any good salesperson should do. So there's also a follow-up date column in here. And there's some reasonings for putting in these columns in here, you'll see in a second. But really, at the end of the day, let's pretend like this is our sales tracker. This is our Excel file that, any standard SMB, small to medium-sized business, you're probably still using Excel to track a lot of your sales. Even if you're not, for example, here at Fairoaks, we've got a CRM system that's cloud-based that tracks sales for us. But I'll be honest, every now and then I dump some data out of that and I put it in Excel so I can massage the data and figure some things out. CRM systems aren't the end all be all. It's nice to be able to dump that data out and put it into Excel. So I digress. Enough of that. Really, again, that's what this data is. It's some play data for us today. And I'm going to dive right into some things that I want to show you. Some of you, or if not a lot of you, might know some of the things I'm about to go through. But again, this is meant to be a level playing field beginning here, more of a 101 on the advanced features of Excel. And again, for those of you who might know everything I'm about to tell you, that's fantastic. But be on the lookout, hopefully in the next few months for a 201 and a 301 series where we really start to get into some other cool things in Excel. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So what I want to show you first here, again, in the sample data is one thing that I always do when I have data is the first thing you're going to want to do is convert that data into a table. Converting data into a table is a great way to be able to do what you want with the data, massage the data, etc. So what we're going to do that is quite simply, we're going to select the data we want here. We're going to go ahead and insert, and then we're going to find the table button up top here. Doing so, it's going to ask you what the selection of data you'd like to make into a table is. We've already selected it, so it's highlighted it for us. We're also going to tell Excel that our data has headers. Just a reminder, headers are your column labels. So in this case, customer, sale date, sales, follow-up date, and salesperson, that's our headers. All right, so I'm going to go to reselect all the data. We're going to say it's got headers, and we're going to press OK. Automatically, you'll notice right away, it's going to sort, or not sort, but it's going to actually revisualize the data into some very easy to read rows and columns. The rows are kind of reminiscent of your old maybe accounting ledger, for example. Maybe I'll turn it to green. It looks a little more like an accounting ledger to you guys who are familiar with that. So, obviously some really basic stuff. You guys know how to change colors, I'm sure, things like that. Very easy up top here, whatever color of the day, color du jour you like. Maybe your company colors are purple. Let's pick purple. That sounds fun. So easy peasy there. Now we've got our data table, right? So when we have our data table, then we can start doing some cool things with it. What I want to show you first of all is really easy stuff. Here's our sales column. This is all of our sales for all time. I just want to quickly go and add up how many sales we've had all time. All right. To do that, I can just select a cell underneath that. And a lot of you might know the equals sum formula, right? Where you go there and you can select all the data you want to sum up, and that adds it together. Well, what I'm going to show you today is another actually quick button called the auto sum. So again, I'm going to select the cell there and click auto sum up here in the editing menu ribbon. When I do that, it's going to automatically know what you want to sum and do it for you. Very cool, very, very cool data there. Now, here's the cool thing about having converted this to a table. Because I've converted this to a table, any filtering I do will automatically update things like the auto sum. So let's pretend like I only want to see what the total sales were for, let's just say June 2025, okay? So I can go in here and filter to only show June 25, click OK, and now my auto sum's updated. That's really cool, great for reporting. All right, so I'm going to back that out, undo that. I'm actually going to undo our sum cell as well. So some cool, very basic stuff to begin with there of what we can do. Here's where it starts to get kind of fun. We're going to start to use this data like a dashboard or like a to-do list, like an actual place where our team can come, our sales team, and understand what maybe they need to do next. All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and add a follow-up needed column here. And I'm going to pretend that this column is going to tell me if my follow-up date is today or in the past, meaning I need to follow up with that client, or is it in the future and I don't. I still have time to follow up with that client. So all I need to do here is we're going to go ahead and add that column. You'll notice it automatically extends the table. I've got this formula. I just pasted it or copied it from a document I've got over here just so I don't have to type it all out and save some time here. But really what it's saying is if that follow-up date over here, in this case, that one's June 10th, is less than today, go ahead and type the word yes. If not, type the word no. So notice I put that formula in only in the top one because it's a table. It populates it all the way down. And now my sales team can come in here and say, all right, cool. What do I need to follow up on? What do I not need to follow up on? So pretty cool stuff there. We're going to move right along, though, and actually show you some more visual stuff we can do to really point out the yeses and the nos here. Again, imagine this was 3,000 rows of data, maybe not just 30 where it was easier to see. And we can do something called conditional formatting to help with that. So conditional formatting, again, a lot of you might know this. I'm going to select column F in this case, and we're going to make a highlight rule where any cell that is equal to, and quite simply the word yes, we're going to fill with a red text and a red background. Now, visually, I can come in here maybe as a sales manager and say, oh, cool, anything in red, my team's got to go follow up on. Easy peasy, very quick. And the other cool thing is here is as we make sales, we're just gonna keep tracking the sales here. And you'll notice the table is already updating. So I don't need to go insert new column, whatever it is. I can just go in here and easy peasy, add the new row, and that updates my table. So pretty cool there. Now I want to dive into some pivot tables. A lot of you might know pivot tables. We're going to dive into what that means here in this case. So I'm going to insert a pivot table. To do that, we're going to be able to click the insert button, pivot table. It's automatically going to know what our data is here. Very easy. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. Now I've got a pivot table here. Here's where we can do some more advanced dashboarding and data slicing, all right? The first thing we're going to do here is actually define what data we want to look at here. So first thing I'm going to do is drag the salesperson into the row column. I want to list out, I want to sum up the sales for every salesperson. That's what I want to do here, okay? So we're going to do that. And then we're going to take the sales column and add that to the values. It's automatically going to know I want to sum it up. And now, easy peasy, I've got a nice little, maybe I dump this into an executive PowerPoint table where I can see who our sales leaders are, maybe who's falling behind, who's underneath their quota, whatever it might be. Let's imagine for a second that maybe I had 50 salespeople. That would be a lot harder to look at than these three. Well, you could do something called slicing. So a slicer is a really cool thing that you can do, and it's actually a way to start building a dashboard in your pivot tables. So to do a slicer, and a slicer is going to allow us to actually select, for example, what salesperson I want to see the data on. So to do that, we're just going to go to the pivot table design menu here, and we've got a slicer button right here under the filter. When I do that, I'm going to say it's by salesperson, click OK. And now this is just like kind of maybe a fancy dashboard that you'd see in your CRM system or some expensive ERP system. And I can just click these like buttons. So Mike has how much, Jessica has how much, Amanda has how much. Very cool thing to do there. Another thing we can do here, if I go back to our pivot table, we're going to remove the filters there. I can even do a timeline slider. Again, if say I'm building a dashboard here, I can very easily, and anybody can use this, very simple, right? A child could probably do this once you insert this. I'm going to go in here and say, via this visual slider, just show me sales from, instead of the whole timeline, let's just see sales from March 25 to June. And that's going to update the number. Notice the number changed there from the whole thing. If I remove that, it was a much bigger number. So very cool again. So imagine taking this, multiplying it, you've got a nice dashboard, the beginnings of a nice dashboard here. So very cool there. Again, some of this stuff might be some stuff that you guys knew, but it is a good refresher, and you can kind of imagine how you can build on that as well. Only got a few minutes left here. I'm going to look at my list of things I wanted to cover with you guys, and maybe look at some other things. Actually, let's do this. A lot of you who maybe are familiar with database design understand something called data validation. Data validation is a quick way to say, hey, does this data really make sense or not? Okay. So if you'll indulge me for a second here, I want to show you over here. I already have a sheet that has our salespeople. These are our three salespeople, Amanda, Mike, and Jessica. Let's pretend over here that we want to know whether or not I've entered any names that don't make any sense. So all we need to do here is something called data validation. That's the data tab. We can go to the data validation section up here, click OK, and we're going to allow a list of the source. We're going to go define that source right here, click OK, and we're going to press OK. Oh, I'm sorry, you know what? I didn't select, my bad. I didn't select the actual column we want to do this in. So let me do that first. Data validation has to be a list, and that source again is going to be over here. There we go, and press OK. So now anybody that is not on that list, so if I were to just say, I'm sorry, I mistyped, I just put 3 S's there just to show the point. It would actually come up and say, hey, this doesn't actually match one of our salespeople. And you can even customize this message if you wanted to. Again, to run Excel more like a database or a CRM than just plain old Excel. Maybe an example is I just forgot the N on Amanda Johnson's name or mistyped it. It's not going to like that. So data validation is a great way to make sure that you're not going to fat finger anything. You would build that in for every one of your columns to make sure in the future, you assign the people to edit this dashboard, maybe an intern, maybe they're new to the business world. You don't want them to fat finger things. It's a great way to do that. So we're right at 2:15 now. I just covered quite a bit. Again, everything I went over is great groundwork for how to continue to build, say in this world, in this example here, maybe a great dashboarding system for your sales team. In our upcoming sessions, I'd love to show you more things like how to pull KPIs from this, maybe track on a month-to-month basis and graph out everyone's sales, for example, in an automated way, where all you do literally is everybody comes in here and enters their sales when they happen, and then all of that updates for you in an automated fashion. Maybe that's like a 201 session. 301 and above might be something like getting in there and actually writing some macros. I know we've got some clients that have some macro-enabled Excel files. You can do just so much more with macros as well. So again, if any of you already knew all of this stuff, I apologize if it was repetitive, but hopefully it was a good refresher for you. If not, hopefully maybe your gears are turning now for what else you can do with Excel and how to build these things. But I thought this would be a great place to start. And as usual, any questions, please reach out. Everybody on this webinar should have my contact information. Again, Adam Crossley here, CEO of Fairoaks IT, and I want to thank you guys for your time. And we only went over a minute today, so thank you again, and tune in next month for our next session, and hope you have a great day. Take it easy.